What is your NSFW fun fact about yourself? I once had to go to the hospital for what was diagnosed as a post-orgasmic migraine. I don't know if this is NSFW, but when I was born my penis was so crooked they had to completely rearrange it in surgery. They said that if it was left as it was, my dig would point at a 60 or so degree angle to the left and that urinating would have been quite the task. My testicles are drastically different sizes. Like a golf ball and a macadamia nut. Edit. I appreciate the concern but nothing to worry about. They've been like that as long as I can remember. I saw a doctor when I was a teenager and he said there was likely an injury to the smaller one causing the larger one to grow extra for it during puberty. Girlfriend got a dildo with a suction cup and we were fooling around and I stuck it to my forehead. I was a dildo unicorn for about 30 seconds, took it off. And the look of horror from her said it all. I had a giant purple bruise on my forehead. Couldn't find a good excuse so I called out of work the next day and learned how to do makeup. Don't be a dildo unicorn. My pee turns toilets purple. It was the freakiest thing when it started happening and my doctor couldn't figure out what was happening. I would use a toilet and then a few hours later brownish spots would appear and those spots would eventually turn a purplish color. My wife and I figured it had to be something to do with my medication because it only started happening when I switched to new meds. Eventually, after a lot of research, we found a paper in a medical journal that mentioned that in very rare cases the urine of patients who took my medication would have interactions with various household cleaners. That interaction can happen on the film of cleaning solution residue on toilets and turn brown, red or even purple. I have breast implants from having breast cancer. They get cold and it's built-in air conditioning. Whenever I go pee, I just brush my pubes. Thanks to an autoimmune disease, my dig is a couple of different colors. No other part of my body has been affected. Just my dig. At the height of experiencing prolonged concussion symptoms, I masturbated and felt a jolt, like a shock of electricity, travel up my body to the part of my brain where a light fixture fell on my head. My symptoms instantly subsided. An ant bit my testicles once while I was having sex at a hiking trail. In case anyone is wondering, it was awful. I got circumcised at 25 after slicing my foreskin and a vasectomy at 30. My Franken beans hate me. I once was the dude the lesbian chick had sex with who upon having sex with me decided she does in fact like girls. I take this as both a compliment and an insult. I use my right hand for everything, except for masturbating. I just can't with my right hand. My dad was having sex with a hospital nurse while my mom was giving birth to me. That's long been used for the many fights and reasons my mom hates men. Smoking killed my libido, so I killed two birds with one stone and quit for good by rubbing one out each time I got a craving. Like multiple times a day. Especially at work. 10 out of 10 would recommend. It bends to the right. On occasion my dreams are so vivid that I mistake them as reality, and only realize it's not so after I wake up. The rare times when I have the urge to pee in the morning after stupidly drinking liters of water before I sleep, my dreams shift to being in the toilet where I pee. My brain and body get synchronized to my dream and I end up pissing in my pants. Weird ass embarrassing experience and I'm in my 20s. Probably a consequence of stress. I have two as holes. Update. I am sorry to those of you that feel misled. The second hole above my anus is inactive. There has been an inquisition or interrogation into my anus's ani, anusis, no idea how to pluralize it. Second one isn't an anus, it's a hole in the crack of my ass that serves no purpose. One person suggested smuggling, but it would need to have very high cost to density to make sense. Anyway, thanks for the interest. My picture was published in Playboy magazine. I can Jedi mind trick myself to come with no physical contact. I don't have a gag reflex. Which hasn't been great the few times I've actually choked in something. I once realigned the lower spine of a girl I had been seeing by, well, doggy style. She had been plagued by lower back and tailbone issues for months until that fateful day. She thanked me for my services and needless to say, my dig is now a licensed chiropractor. I once spied on someone jerking off in the nearby stall at a mall toilet room. That was an experience, but I really don't want to repeat it. I'm several months out from the last time I had sex. I had a checkup recently and had a blood pressure cuff strapped around my wrist. When it squeezed my wrist, I immediately got pretty turned on. Apparently I miss physical contact. My dig is average. I open NSFW posts at work. Due to an error in the hospital system that happened when I was born, my last name is technically Coomer. Slept with a very quiet guy. Finished. Thought he did shortly after and was like, that was totally better than the first time, and we cleaned up and passed out. Found out the next morning that he absolutely had not finished. Whoops. Total sweetheart though. Just never thought that as a woman I would finish and my FWB wouldn't. Edit. No. You guys. I didn't even give the man a chance to finish. I thought he was done, so I hopped off when apparently we were just doing a position change. He was too awkward to bring up that he wasn't done yet. I've had 6 more often in groups than one-on-one. I'm an example that the birth control pill isn't always effective. I lost my virginity to the wife of my boss at the time. I was 18 and working at McDonald's, and I found out my ex-GF from 8th grade. She was 2 years older than me. Was married to my shift manager at the restaurant. They were fighting at the time, and when we hooked up I had no idea she was married to my boss until after it happened. Later found out he had cheated on her, so it was one big game I got caught in. They later divorced. 6 was good at least. At that age I was just trying to lose my virginity before college, but looking back it was probably a dumb move. I found out the hard way that I can fit my hand in my ass. After losing anal beads during 6. I used to fantasize about women before I knew I was bi and before I knew what 6 was. I would fantasize about holding them down and tickling them, and it made me feel good, but I didn't know why. Clicked years later that I just like women. Lol. I have actually been jerking off to cartoons when I was like a small kid without even realizing it. Boy was I in for a realization like a decade later. I've had my foot in a fussy. When flaccid, I can pull the head of my penis back inside of itself. I'm cut. I've honestly never asked anyone if they can do it, so it might just be a normal dig function. I can also pop both testicles back up inside myself, so if I do it all at once, I've got an empty sack dangling under an inside-out dig until I let go. Yeah, no. This is one of those AskReddits I see that I have no answer to that I like to scroll through to see how the answers range from. That's pretty vanilla, too. There is no way that's true. Well, it was that one time I had 6. Condom bit tight. Went in and felt something snap. Not painful but strange. Then it felt wet. I pulled out and took off the condom to be greeted with blood, and the girl got a lot of blood on her face. Somehow. I nearly passed out. Dig broken for 2 weeks. Won't redo. My last sexual encounter involved me riding a guy who slapped me. So I slapped him back and we were slapping each other for a good 5 more seconds until he came really hard. It was frocking hot. I joined the Mile High Club about 15 years ago. TBH. Outside of bragging rights, it's not really that fun. Edit. The Wholesome Award? Really? Edit 2. You frocking weirdos. I love you all. This will probably get lost in the comments, but one time I was absolutely hammered getting a blowthrob and I accidentally peed in the girl's mouth. I'll admit. Not my finest moment. Edit. Okay, just to reiterate, this was not on purpose, you weird frocks. I understand Reddit is a weird place, but y'all gotta chill, bruh. If I masturbate and then go into the shower and let the warm water hit the penis tip, I'll have a second orgasm, but instead of semen it's urine. Someone tell me I am not alone. Once I reached my hand down the back of my pants to spread my butt cheeks apart to muffle the sound of a fart. I didn't want the chick I was hanging out with to hear it. I sit in my hand. When my mother was still pregnant with me and they were getting an ultrasound, they mistook me for a female cause my penis was so large that they mistook it for an arm. Edit. People keep saying that my parents were expecting a 3-armed child, but according to them they just missed one of my arms. Not really sure how, considering it's a rather large appendage compared to the rest of the body, but oh well. Me and my girlfriend lived in a student apartment complex some time ago. Before we moved out, we went ahead and banged on all 8 floors of the building. In the elevator, the laundry room, the stairway, the gym. The mirrors were great here. The common room, and multiple balconies, etc. My girlfriend even got totally naked for a few of the sessions. We did it at 2 a.m. on a Sunday night and got back to our own apartment at like 3:30 a.m. We didn't get caught, I think. Long time ago, I was working late one night, all by myself. Small company. I reached behind an open server and touched the power supply by accident, while it was still plugged in, and had a very shocking experience. I had to lie down on the floor for about 20 minutes before regaining my strength to get back up and go home. Never did that again. I changed a light bulb on my office while standing on a wheeled chair and almost fell. My first under-the-clothes sexual experience was getting blown by 2 female friends simultaneously, at the age of 13. I then proceeded to not have a single sexual encounter with anyone until the age of 19. It frocked me up. I like to collect vintage Obscure plus 18 movies. Nothing illegal. The more niche the better. I don't even go back and use at it all that often. It's really just something of an interest. Like in 30 Rock when Alec Baldwin's character mentions his collection of vintage French plus 18 movies. I just nodded to myself and thought, seems right. My dig curves to the side like a banana. I had 6 in a very expensive stolen car. I didn't know it was stolen at the time. My frock buddy worked at a car dealer and said they were allowed to borrow the cars after hours, but when we saw a cop afterwards, screamed, get out," and we left and ran down the Embarcadero. For about a month, I worried that the cops would find me due to my fingerprints being all over the place, but that was when I was young and thought cops actually cared about that kind of stuff. I use a menstruation cup. I empty it into the loo or sink if the sink is close. In my former apartment, the sink was conveniently directly next to the loo, so I did the latter. The sink was not properly connected to the wastewater piping, so I used sink water, which contained water, soap and periodically a little bit of uterus lining in my case, seeped into the floor and thus ceiling of the cellar. I lived there 1 year before they figured the problem out. The cellar ended up having a slightly reddish 2 to 3 square meter stain from the iron in my red blood cells. I saw it growing while I lived there, but only realized that was me after I learned about the piping problem shortly before moving out. TLDR, I painted a cellar ceiling with my uterus. Banged my college GF in public a few times. She got off on it, and being in my early 20s, I was thorny and did not care. Sucked my own dig twice when I was a teenager. First time was awesome. Second time just felt like sucking a dig. I've since grown to like dig but can't reach anymore. Realistically, I'm probably just less flexible, but honestly I think my dig was bigger at 18. I am OSHA 30 certified, so I know all about things not safe for work. My record for having 6 in one day was 7 times in a row. After that I calming dust for the next 2 days. I just got a huge pimple on my dig. I thought it was an STD until it just popped while taking a shower, lol. I was both a sexual and non-sexual sugar baby for 3 years to different successful men. When my husband and I were first dating, we went to a sex club in Paris. It was spur of the moment, so we didn't have time to get nervous. We frocked right next to another couple. I got to make out with the girl, suck on her nipples, and finger her while he was frocking me. Still the best sex ever. On an average day, I will spend 60 to 70% of my time thinking about how hot my wife is. Mentally, physically, emotionally. The entire being that is my wife is just so sexually appealing to me. We've been together 10 years and have 1 child, and she's still the exact same amazingly hot woman I first met. And cue the line of people saying they think about her too. Go. I've never had sex or even kissed anyone. May or may not have banged a hooker over the railing of a balcony above an ongoing wedding. Every time I cry, I get a boner. The news of my grandmother's death was not an exception. My ass is covered in small scars. I hooked up with this girl and ended up staying over. Woke up in the middle of the night needing to pee. I'd had a few to drink and was naked. I had to pass through her living room to get to the bathroom. As I tiptoed my way through the living room, I trod on her sleeping cat. Cat screams and scratches me. I panic and stumble ass first through a small glass table. I had about 20 cuts in my ass. Blood everywhere, and of course, just to round things off, I pissed right then and there. Needless to say, the girl woke up to a traumatized cat, a destroyed coffee table, and a living room covered in piss and blood. I left very shortly afterwards and was not surprised to find myself blocked instantly. But I still carry the scars to this day. I once made a partner come by speaking to them. I'd been edging them for days, but it was still pretty wild. Once I broke a bed by frocking too hard. I'm not a virgin, but I also haven't had my first kiss yet. I constantly go to work in crotchless, nice cute looking underwear cause it makes me feel great, and I wanna try find a discreet vibrating set to wear. Would make early morning shifts a lot more bearable. I am naked underneath my clothes. I choked on a after 8. Almost passed out while running around in the storage room at work, trying to find a place to Heimlich myself. That was really stressing. A wank once got me out of a LSD bad trip that had lasted for 5 hours or so. When I worked at Schlotzsky's, every time I touched the proofer door my skin buzzed. Didn't realize I was being shocked until the other baker complained about it. Also, one time the owner walked through the building and pointed out black mold coming from the vent above my station. Manager made me clean it without a mask in between batches of bread. Edit. Word correction. From electrocuted to shocked. Courtesy of a comment. My username is accurate. I once dislocated my shoulder while having awesome kinky sex with my girlfriend. Popped it back in and kept going. I've literally had sex on top of live missiles. I witnessed my friend getting stabbed by a fork or something. Not badly or in a vital place. And the motherfucker moaned. She moaned. harder tilde. And the guy frocking ran. Like. He ran. She was then thorny for the rest of the night after immediately going to the hospital. I was scared. When I see couples. Straight. Gay. Other. I imagine what they look like while having sex. And I like to guess what their deeply hidden kinks are. Just a sample. That couple walking their dog. I bet he subs to her. Pete Buttigieg and his husband. My guess is they flip frock. That one grocery clerk looks like he may have tried sucking a dig or two, but maybe he's only thought about it. Does that really conservatively dressed woman secretly put nudes on Reddit, or is she genuinely more reserved about stuff with bodies? So, yeah. Anyone else have these thoughts cruising through their head? I was an online cam 6 girl for a year whilst I was at university. I made lots of money and enjoyed regularly chatting with my regular fans. One night, my roommates were having a party at our house, with music blasting, and I was with my FWB in my room. I was eating her fussy. And at one point, Bohemian Rhapsody starts playing. She came exactly at that part of the song when it switches from opera to rock. That was the most memorable orgasm I've ever given. I claim to beat my dig like it owes me money, but the truth is, I beat it like it stole something. I was on a first date with a girl I had crushed on for months. I went to the bathroom as it was a coffee date and I had to pee. While peeing I farted and sit myself. I had long johns on and the sit ran down my leg but was trapped by the long johns. I carefully walked to the stall and took off my long johns and wiped off my leg. Cleaned and ready to go back out. I went to throw them away and there was no trash can. I had a pen on me as I usually do and I wrote an apology on a piece of paper towel explaining there was sit in them britches. She never had a clue I sit myself. I've read so many comments now I forgot what the question was. Once I banged a Russian chick on the balcony of a hotel room. I can lick my own nipples. That's what happens when you have stupidly big boobs. Editing to say apparently everyone can do this, so I no longer have a party trick. Sometimes I shower naked. I can name at least 3. Straight guys who will claim to the ends of the earth they are straight but have repeatedly shown interest and done very gay acts with me and other guys on the DL. I nearly fell down an elevator shaft at work. No refractory period. My real legal name on my birth certificate is Baby Boy. Last name. One time I jacked off 7 times in one day. My username works. I can fap simply by squishing my dig a lot. I'm thorny right now but can only get off in real life or with strange anime porn. I can go from soft to hard in 5 seconds. I keep stumbling on porn stars that look like girls IKIRL. I have successfully gone through all comments. The most intense orgasm I ever had was caused by drunk masturbation in a school toilet. 3 decades later I still remember that special occasion. Ooh, I got this one. I was a very goth teen and I lost my virginity in a graveyard. The guy is now deceased and buried in the same graveyard. Edited because I forgot to mention that he died in 2006 and has his MySpace handle on the headstone. Edited again. Someone anonymously gave me the "I'm deceased" award. Well played and thank you, Lul. I can eat peanut butter straight from the jar. Not a NSFW story but sticks out. In elementary school a girl I liked knew that I liked her. So at lunch she came up to me and smacked me as hard as she can on my ass and I farted. I know the spelling to pneumono-ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis and pseudo-hypoparathyroidism, and can pronounce it in one go. But only if I'm really sober. I failed NNN. I like big butts and cannot lie. My pee-pee small. I survived being shocked at work and unconscious by myself in an R&D lab for 10 minutes, and tried not to tell anyone the next day because I also blew up $6,000 of equipment. When I was a kid, I thought that the tip would fall off if I get hard enough and my testicles were spares. I've never sent a dig pic. I have a birthmark on my labia that almost goes to the area where women pee from. It's hard to miss given the skin there is pale obviously. Every time a guy sees it he thinks I have herpes. One dude straight up left, he was so frustrated thinking I was lying to him and gave him herpes. It's a frocking birthmark. It looks nothing like a herpes sore and it still happens to this day. It's not raised at all. And it's rather dark so I don't understand the confusion. I'd understand asking about the strange genital spots I have but assuming it must be some sort of STD. The first time I had sex with my wife was during a threesome with her and my now ex-girlfriend. Despite the fact that I'm only willing to date and marry women, I'm bi-curious because I like to read gay porn. The only time I've ever been slapped by a girl for offending her was mid-6 after quoting Forrest Gump. She was a smoker. And I stopped kissing her to say, "She tastes like cigarettes." In my best Forrest Gump impersonation, we were watching the movie, and she claimed to be a huge fan. I thought it would be funny. Ended up with a red hand print across my face for the remainder of the bang. Man, I just wanna be loved. I used to have another Reddit account that was basically only used for posting nudes of myself. It's since been deleted, but I might make another one sometime.